Seasonal video today. We'll talk about the pumpkin. You see them everywhere. People are carving faces into them. But what do we do with that excess? We're going to make a really nice donut. We're going to make some nice pumpkin donuts. Peruvian originate. But what do we do with the pumpkin? How do we start preparing it? Some pumpkins you'll see they'll have a flat side on it. And that's just from where it's been growing in the field like this. So every so often the farmer will go around and turn that pumpkin in the field to make sure that you don't get that flat bottom. This one's got a little bit of a flat bottom on it. But what do? How can we really start chopping away at it without the safest way possible? Start off, just get your nice sharp knife straight down into the top, like so, and then just bring that down. For this recipe I think I'll need about 460 grams of pumpkin. So again, straight from the top, down. I've got a nice wedge of pumpkin out of that. All I want is that nice orange flesh in there. So I need to get rid of all these seeds. Just with a spoon. Scrape that out. And keep these seeds if you want, and dry them out, serve them on your salads. What we're going to need to make these delicious donuts, we need 460 gram of sweet potato, that's just peeled and just chopped up. We've got 460 gram of that pumpkin. All I've done with that is just peeled it and chopped it into chunks. We've got 300 grams of plain flour, 2 eggs. We've got 10 grams of sugar, 10 grams of dried yeast, 125 mils of brandy, and then in a large pan of water we've got a teaspoon of cinnamon, we've got 3 star anise and 5 cloves gone into that, and we're just going to bring that up to the boil. So we infuse that water with those spices, and we're going to add the pumpkin and the sweet potato into there till nice and soft to create a puree. Pan of water now has come up to temperature. We're going to start cooking off these sweet potatoes and the pumpkin. We're going to cook them separately because they're going to cook at different times. Start off by adding the sweet potato in there, cover it up, and just let that simmer away so it's really nice and soft. So once that potato is nice and soft, we drain that out. Save that water, because we're going to be putting pumpkin straight in there. Leave that to one side just to cool slightly. We add the pumpkin into that water to get that nice and soft. So with the sweet potato, we'll turn that into a puree. We can either mash it by hand, or I'm just going to put it in the food processor just to blitz it down. We have a nice sweet potato puree. Now we do the same with the pumpkin once that's nice and soft. We've got the pumpkin, which is nice and soft now, so we're going to blitz that up the same. With the water that's left, we need to take 125 ml of that water away. Keep that, let that cool down a little bit, because we're going to use that to infuse our yeast. So just let that cool down slightly. Don't want it too hot, because otherwise you're going to kill your yeast. While that's cooling down, just blitz up the pumpkin. Nice smooth pumpkin puree. We want about 200 grams of the sweet potato puree and 200 grams of the pumpkin puree. Then we're left with our 2 purees. Now we want to go and start making a dough. So start just with a normal mixing bowl. 10 grams of yeast, 10 grams of sugar going in there as well. A stock which we cooked that in, still smells delicious. Don't want it too hot, so we just let that cool down for a little bit. Just wants to be a tepid. Add that to there. Give together mix. After about 5 minutes, yeast is starting to react now. You've livened that, woken that yeast up. We need to add 2 eggs. Whisk that in. Put that onto a mixer now. Give it a good mix. Slowly start adding that flour into it to create that dough. After about 5 minutes on the mixer, you should be left with a very smooth and elasticy dough. Yeah, very elasticy, very sticky. You just need to let that prove. So, a little bit of cling film over the top. And just pop that 2 hours somewhere warm. That dough's been proven for 2 hours. Come up, doubled in size, really aerated, looks really good. Really good. So I've got a piping bag. I've got some squares of greaseproof paper. I've got my oil set to about 160 degrees. That dough is like really sticky. So, best way, get it into your piping bag. If there's ever such a thing as a healthy donut, this has to be the closest way you're going to get. Little snip off the end. We'll just start piping a circle. Get to the end, get your scissors, chop it off. And that, straight in the fryer like that. Comes off the paper. And there you have pumpkin donuts. Who wouldn't love them? Oh, yeah, that's good. Beautiful.